In this video, I will install new rubber brake lines and bleed the master cylinder while it's still on the vehicle. I will also bleed all four wheels, and when done, I will have achieved the perfect brakes. What you're looking at is a diagram of the braking system for the 560 SL, as well as many other older Mercedes. The last time I did this was about 16 years ago, and when I did it, I used this Super Blue Racing Dot 4. But I'm not so sure I like it. I thought in this video all I was going to do is bleed the brakes. But bleeding the brakes was not the problem with my rear brakes. You're not going to believe what I found out. You may need several different size hoses of this tubing, because there's little places in that reservoir you need to get to try to get everything out. But you won't get everything out. You'll have this little bit right here. Most people think there are only two different reservoirs or chambers. But you'll see here that there's actually three. You have that main one here on the right, and then this one on the left, right? Those are the two chambers I think that everybody notices. But right over there in the corner, that's another place where the fluid ends up. And that's the reason why at the bottom, this is here. It's virtually impossible to get everything out. So I put the screen back in, and then I just went ahead and put in the Mercedes-Benz fluid. Like and subscribe, that's what I say. I'm going to fill this, but I'm going to fill it way past the max. I'm going to fill it all the way up. And then I'm going to go ahead and start to bleed the rear brakes. You start with the rear passenger side. That's the farthest caliper from the master cylinder. Okay, go. Pump. Unfortunately,
the pedal does not go down,
there's
right?
nothing.
Nothing's coming out, that's for sure.
One common problem with these vehicles is that the rubber brake lines can swell, and then they cause complete blockage. I know when I did this 16 years ago when I first got this car, I had one of my brake lines completely blocked. I thought, well, maybe that was it, right?
Right.
But, well, in this case, actually, I don't have brakes in either rear wheel. And everything that I'm doing here, I'm doing on the other side as well. And you can see I'm just pulling a vacuum. Nothing. So I thought, all right, let's go ahead and check the bleeder valve. It's got that little hole in it, and I checked it, and sure enough, it's clear. And I went to the other side, and it's clear. So I have nothing to the rear. But I have a full reservoir, so I thought, why not start bleeding the front brakes? And as I said, you normally would start in the farthest right rear, and then go to the left rear, and then to the right, and then go to the left front. And you always start with the farthest caliper. You see I'm starting on the outside here, and I'm using a pressure bleeder. So I'm doing this on my own. You can also see that it's quite dirty, even though I've never driven this car since the last time I did a brake job. I did a brake job and parked it. See how dirty that is? If you look close, right up here, look at that chunk. I have no idea what that stuff is. But I keep doing this until you can pretty much get everything nice and clear. With the other fluid, that was blue before, and now it's kind of a yellowish type fluid. So this is the whole outline. You know, I found I have fluid right to both front wheels, and those brakes work fine. I spin it and it works. But I have no fluid to either rear wheel. And the way that it starts, this whole system is just like any other car. It's real simple on the 560 SL. We start at the master cylinder, and when you push on it, it pressurizes that line that goes into the ABS. And then from the ABS, it delivers it out to your wheels. In the front, we have both lines. They're separate, so it's a kind of a safety thing, because most of your stopping happens in the front. And then it sends one line to the back and then splits off with a T, and so far nothing. So I'm going to start with the rear, or with the master cylinder. This is the master cylinder actually that I took out from before. I pulled it out of the box. I kept it. But it also, well, not also, but this had a problem. Mike from Mikes Mercedes and other cars, he did a couple of great videos on the master cylinder. And I suggest you see it. I'll have links in the description down below. But he takes them apart. He explains all the differences and where they leak and all that kind of stuff. So they're excellent videos. And I have, like I said, links to both videos down below. But this is my master cylinder. And that is the line that pushes fluid to the rear. All these are 11 millimeters. And I suggest you get a flare nut wrench before you take these things off. They can really get stuck. So here, I'm trying to see, do I have fluid going to the rear? You saw a little bit of fluid kind of linking out, right? So I assume there's fluid, but I'm going to go ahead and step on the pedal. And there it is. Sure enough, I have fluid. So it's working just fine. I went ahead and slowly pumping the brake pedal, and I'm bleeding the master cylinder, at least the rear chamber. The front one was just fine, and as far as I know, the rear brakes were working just well too. You notice that plastic wrap on the top? Yeah, I learned that from Mikes Mercs and other cars. Again, a link in the description. He's got some tips over there. So I snugged that up, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and move on to see if I have fluid flowing from the master cylinder and through the ABS to the rear wheels. So this is the outline going to the rear. Yeah, looks like I've got some fluid flow. But let's go ahead and bleed it. Get any air out of it. See what's inside. And it bled no problem. So it's time to move on to the steel lines in the back. Like I said, everything was new. But guess what? From this steel line up on the top, I can't pump and bleed. Could that T actually be the problem? So I went ahead and lubed it, hit some WD-40 on it, let it sit for about an hour because these things are tough. But I finally got it, and you see that. I got a little bit of a leak. It flows. As a matter of fact, there it is, stepping on the pedal. No problem. So I'll put that back together, and let's check this side. Could this line actually be blocked? But it seems weird, right? Because we're talking about both wheels. How could both of these lines be blocked? But yep, my wife is stepping on the brake right now, pumping away, and it's dry as a bone. So I removed it from the vehicle, and I can see, but not really. I mean, you can see there's nothing, but you can see light don't pass through it. But when you look at it, you can't tell. But when I take that little pick thing in there and I start braking at it, yeah, I can, it's something stuck. And then I blew it out, and sure enough, that big chunk, there's a big chunk in there. That's not part of it. That big chunk to the left, that is not part of what I found in there. I was comparing that with the hose to see, was it like hose? But now I've got it all clear. As you can see, light passes through both sides. I'm going to go ahead and replace all the lines. And these are the part numbers and everything. And the best way to do it, or to me, the easiest way to do it, is go ahead and clamp off the one side, cut your hose, use your flare nut, 14 millimeter here on this one, and remove it. You can see, my rubber lines look like new. But I'm replacing them. They're 16 years old. They're not going to last forever. I guarantee it. If you're buying one of those low mileage cars, these things need to be changed. I guarantee it. Every time for sure that you change the calipers, you have to change all this. A lot of guys don't. Now I'm moving up to the top. Now with this clip, you can see how nice those lines are. Yeah, I shrunk wrap all those things years ago. Still looks beautiful. Those are high temperature shrink wrap. Method, very similar. Hold the one side. I mean, it's actually in a slot, but you don't want to strip your little bracket. So try to hold that thing and then break it. And you can see the air coming out, or probably air going in. So then I just hold the nut and I hold it down and then twist out the hose. Because now it's real quick. You just keep holding it and bring up your next hose to it. And now tighten it from the top. I suggest you put a rag here and everything, but I wanted to show what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm making a kind of a mess. But even though you don't make a mess or whatever and you get it all tight, what are you going to do? You're going to spray it. That's right, with some soapy water all over the place, because this stuff is so corrosive, it'll eat your paint. Trust me, I know. There, done. Now on to the rear wheel. Same thing. Block it off, snip your line, 14 millimeter on the bottom, 11 millimeter on the top, using flare nut, wrenches. You'll notice that the bracket is loose. The reason is because I removed all the steel lines and I blew them clear with my compressor. Nothing else came out. They blew out nice and clear. So I'm confident that whatever that was that clogged that up, it's out. I think what it was is there was probably some piece of something in there. And then in 16 years, it just miraculously ended up in that T. And then swelled and got stuck. And that's what happened. So I went ahead and connected all that line. Now we're back up to the bleed. Now I've already bled the right rear. So this is the left. And there's your air coming out. And here's a little bit of the old blue fluid coming in. And, I found that blue fluid, it's heavier than the Mercedes. I don't really like it. It feels like water to me. I don't know, and it coagulates. I didn't really care for it. That's another reason why I'm changing. But it's also a good idea to change different colors if you can do it. That way there you can see whether or not you got things flush. Did you see how nice and clean I pulled that off? So again, I fill it with clean fluid. Then no matter what, you're not going to breach it or get any air into it. Nothing at all. All you're going to do is bleed it. And when it looks clear, or at least as good as the stuff you put in your reservoir, you're good to go. You see how easy this is? And having a syringe like that tells you exactly how much you're pulling out. You're never going to run your thing dry. You don't need to have multiple cameras. Watch me pull this off. That was the worst one. Yeah, I got a little bit of a drip there. Again, wipe it off with some soap and water. Good to go. You can see everything's all new. Even these caps. All right, now for the front brakes. Again, I've already done the right front. This is the left front. And you begin, like I said, with the outside caliper first. And then you move into the inside caliper. Got some bubbles. And, most of it's going to be clear. There's a little bit left of that blue. But now I think we're just about got this clean. I hit it twice, at least. I sped up the footage a little bit here because, I don't push it fast. That's how you can introduce bubbles from the backside. Again, like I said, I'm flushing it a couple of times until this fluid looks like the fluid I put in the reservoir. And you can see it's good and clear. But I take it all the way up. I'd rather throw away fluid, right, than have contamination. And there's no way to get rid of contamination. You'd have to take everything out, completely clean it. Watch me take this off. Look at that. See how dry that is? That's the way to do it, you guys. I'm telling you. So now I'll move on to the inside caliper. And again, it's pretty well clear because we've already flushed the line, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure she's flushed. Again, watch this. Oh, yeah. You ever seen anybody do a cleaner brake job? There's our new caps. Actually, they're not new. They're 16 years old. As you can tell, yeah, I have brakes. Oh, look, I also have lights. Yeah, I fixed the brake lights and all that stuff is working. All right, well, happy holidays. And you guys, thank you again for subscribing and supporting me. I really do appreciate it. And there's a lot more to come. Trust me, there's a lot more to come. So until the next one, thanks again for watching.